the single most critical thing you can possibly do when you're making a movie, is to make sure that your casting is perfect.
Without Ramona, there is no movie. And to find a young girl who can carry the entire movie on her shoulders and who lives up to the expectations of 50 years worth of readers, if you cast her wrong, you're dead in the water.
It's crucial. It's a title role. If you don't have that, you don't have a movie.
I think people would be disappointed if they saw the movie and they're like, but she doesn't act like Ramona at all. I think it would just be...
My name is Elizabeth Gabler, and I am president of Fox 2000 Pictures. As a child reader, I became enamored with Beverly Cleary's books. And when we decided that we were going to make Ramona and Beezus, we thought about someone who would be able to bring a wonderful sense of comedy as well as emotion to the project, and Liz came immediately to mind.
When they asked me if I'd be interested in doing Ramona and Beezus, my heart skipped a beat because it was something that was so seminal for me growing up. My childhood was nearly identical to the Quimby family. I was the oldest sister, so I was Beezus, essentially. And my sister, who was Ramona, a few years younger than I was, couldn't pronounce Elizabeth, so she called me Bibbits, and that stuck. So I was like Bibbits instead of Beezus. And then I found out later that Malcolm Cleary, who's Beverly's son, he was up on set a lot, and I kept saying, you know, when I first read this, I had the chicken pox, and I was living in Berkeley, and I kept picturing this house and this neighborhood that has nothing to do with the books. And he said, well, where was it in Berkeley? And I told him the street, and he said, we lived around the corner when she wrote it. So I just feel like somehow there was this destiny for me to get to do it.
Let's have you do that, Josh, to Ramona, because she's still here.
Okay.
She deserves it.
From the beginning, Christian Kaplan, one of our senior casting executives at 20th Century Fox, knew that it was going to be a big challenge for him because he was going to have to find these incredible actresses who would play these iconic roles.
This was a project that struck an emotional chord with all of us. We all were passionate about this movie.
And this movie is completely dependent on the casting, and without it, we're dead.
Hold still, I'm almost done.
It's picture perfect, right?
Let's be realistic, Ramona. This is a curling iron, not a magic wand.
It was important to find both actresses that were exciting and had great screen presence and charisma and could handle both the comedy and the emotion. That was very critical.
I love it.
If you don't find the right actresses, you have a movie that's inaccessible and unengaging and not memorable in any way.
Even as I was developing the script, the thing that was on my mind the most was how we were going to cast it, because the two girls had to really work together on so many levels. So we decided to lock our Beezus in first before we found our Ramona.
Beezus is a girl who's going through what we all went through, quite frankly, as teenagers. She feels the need to take care of her sister, but her sister annoys her.
Christian Kaplan had brought Selena to my attention.
Beezus is very studious, and she wants to impress her parents, straight-A student, and very shy and kind of in the awkward stage.
Ooh, if I didn't know better, I'd say somebody has a crush.
Can we please talk about something else?
As soon as she walked in the room, it gave me pause, because she has that kind of stark quality that I didn't even know I could necessarily identify, and that's an exciting feeling.
Selena's fearless. She's phenomenal. She's someone who's really authentic in everything that she does.
Have you seen how many bills they get? It's insane. Everything costs money, even water. The whole point of the movie, in my eyes, is kind of showing the world that there's not always a perfect family. People do struggle with financial problems and family problems, and you kind of need your family the most when you're in situations like that.
When we developed the script, it was more Ramona and her father, and that's the spine of the story. But once we auditioned Selena, we decided to develop the Beezus character a little bit more because she was so good.
Beezus! Beezus, that won't taste good!
Oh!
No charge for that.
And then subsequently began the search for Ramona, and which we knew was going to be the most critical piece to making the film come together.
It was very difficult to try to find someone to match up with Selena that could be her antithesis.
Ramona and Beezus are probably as different can be.
And to find a young girl who can carry the entire movie on her shoulders and who lives up to the expectations of 50 years worth of readers, and to ask a 9-year-old to be able to do all of that is a huge task.
Without the right Ramona, you don't have a linchpin to the movie.
With Ramona, you want a girl who thinks on her feet, who has a great imagination, who quite frankly is close to the character, that she brings herself to the table.
And it took a year's worth of, scouting, both all around the United States and also in any country that would speak English. And I started calling personally different managers, and there was this one manager who said, I've got this girl who's remarkable. She's younger than you're asking for, but I should bring her to your attention.
The first time I went into the first audition, I had a great time in there, but I was told I was too young. I wasn't quite 9 yet.
I knew she was really unique and was the strongest comedic actress of that age I'd ever seen, but I didn't know if she was going to actually be mature enough and old enough to play Ramona.
But the time span went on as we were trying to cast the movie, so we had seen a number of Ramona candidates. I mean, I would probably say hundreds of them, and Joey herself a couple of times.
I was getting kind of desperate, and it was Tom Rothman, who's the chairman of Fox, who insisted that we actually do a proper screen test for the role of Ramona. I asked permission if we could also film Joey.
Hi, my name is Joey King. I'm 4'2", and I'm 9 years old.
Joey was the dark horse going into the screening. She was the one that people were indulging me to bring in.
There was a favorite going into the test, and then during the test there was another favorite, and at the end of the test there was another favorite. But none of that matters until you see it on the big screen.
I went to the screen test, and that was so much fun. Me and Ramona have pretty much the same personality. We both have huge imaginations, so that's good.
And then I put each one of the girls in the wig, put them in the boots, blasted some music that was very skippy, and I just let them go for it. Joey was so tiny that the boots were too big on her, so she kicked them off in the middle of the screen test, which got a huge laugh when we screened it for all of the executives.
We looked at the screen test of Joey King, and it was pretty evident immediately that she was our girl.
Elizabeth Gabler told me at one point that Joey got the part because she kicked off her boots. Joey got the comedy and just had a fun, sort of askew point of view on the world that you cannot, you can't fake that.
We called her in for a meeting with her parents, and it was in my office.
I thought she was calling me into a meeting to tell me I did not get the part of Ramona. But I did get the part of Ramona, so I love Elizabeth Gabler.
She jumped up and ran over to me, and she didn't know where to turn first. I think she was just stunned.
We were just so lucky to find Joey, because I don't think she comes along every year. This is someone who, it was just the stars were kind of aligned, and she was born to play the part.
What if he tries to talk to us?
We ignore him.
Got it. Strut and ignore.
Mm-hmm. There were a lot of very big responsibilities for this young actress, and I think Joey King really stepped up to them all.
What's the rush?
We're ignoring you.
Chemistry is a difficult thing to quantify, and the two girls were really compatible as sisters.
These two girls click like no other.
Do you think I could be in a commercial like that?
Sure, you'd make a great frog.
Hey.
I've seen the film play with audiences a number of times, and it's clear to me that these are very engaging people on screen.
I'm actually very proud of the fact that we got these two ladies for this movie. I can't imagine anybody else but Joey playing this role. I really can't. And Selena was just phenomenal.
I read the books in 3rd grade, and my mom and parents and grandparents and aunts and just a huge range of people have read these books. So I'm hoping that they like what we did with the characters.
I really enjoyed every minute of it, and I just wish I could have done it every single day.
The biggest source of pride was the fact that Beverly Cleary, the author of the books and the creator of Ramona and Beezus, felt that we did a great job. So I'm very proud and very happy.
Ramona, you're your own person. You don't worry about coloring inside the lines.
It really depends on the picture.